Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're going to get started in the next few minutes. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We're going to get started in about 1 minute. Okay, let's get started. Hello, everyone. My name is Ellie Nuttall with ASI Show. Thank you for joining us today, and also thank you to AIM for sponsoring this education track. At any time, you can type your questions into the question box at the bottom of your screen, and Abby will try to answer them during the presentation or at the end of the session. And now I am very happy to introduce Abby Koss of ASI. Abby, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Ellie. And thank you so much to ASI Show for having us here today. I am Abby Koss, and I'm the Director of Marketing for the distributor side of ASI. I'm going to be talking to you today about remote marketing, secrets to mastering SEO, social media, and email campaigns. So before we dive in, as Ellie mentioned, you can ask questions by clicking on the chat button at the bottom of your screen. Feel free to chat the questions to me as we move through. I'll try to answer them. If I can't get to them, then we'll stop for a few minutes at the end of the session and answer your questions there. So the novel coronavirus has likely changed everything for you and your customers. Today, more than ever before, customers are going online to find a distributor partner. I'm going to cover 4 areas of marketing today and touch on some best practices and how to apply them to your business. First, we'll talk about SEO, search engine optimization, and tactics to improve your SEO and appear higher in search engine results. Second, we'll talk about ways to increase brand recognition and engage with customers through social media. Then we'll talk about email campaigns, so some email marketing do's and don'ts. And then I will give you some tips for fitting digital marketing into your busy week. The Seth Godin quote here on the page may be more applicable than ever before. Many of us are online. There are more virtual things to do than ever before, and now we as marketers are being forced to find people who want to be found, talk to them in ways they want to be talked to, and take them on a journey to where they want to go. So, search engine optimization. Let's talk about some tactics to improve your SEO and appear higher in search engine results. So what is SEO? SEO enables your site to be more visible to search engines such as Google or Bing. It can improve the ranking of your page within the search results. So you'll often hear people say you'll show up higher on Google. And with natural or organic search, your web pages are ranked by relevant keywords, and that ranking is controlled by an algorithm. Search results are web pages that contain the most relevant keywords to what was entered in the search bar. Then with paid search, we have keyword ads. So paying to run a keyword ad campaign. The most well-known is Google ad. So your paid services can be pay-per-click or cost per click, depending on how you want to pay. There are flat charges per ad, or there are any other ad service that requires a monetary charge for higher rankings on a search engine results page. So now that you know exactly what SEO is, let's talk about why it's important. So with more and more people going online today, the higher rankings on Google mean that your content or your website is going to be found more often and faster. This will increase your website visitors and ultimately increase sales and conversions. So how do we implement SEO? I'm just going to cover the ways that we can implement SEO on our website. And those 4 ways are through meta tags, Google Analytics, Tag Manager, and content pages. Normally, if we were doing this presentation in a classroom setting, I would ask people to raise their hands and let me know how many of you have an ESP website with ASI. So if you have an ESP website with ASI, those websites enable you to manage the meta tag information for all of the pages within your site, as well as link to Google Analytics, employ Google Tag Manager, and you can also add content pages to your ESP website. So let's talk about those 4 things. All right, first thing, meta tags. So meta tags are snippets of text that describe a page's content. The meta tags don't appear on the actual customer-facing page itself, but they only appear in the page's source code. The meta stands for metadata, which is the kind of data that these tags provide. So it's data about the data on your page. So why do we need them? If you want to rank higher in search, your meta tags need to accompany high quality content that focus on user satisfaction. So basically, we don't want to put meta tags in there that don't match up with the content that is on the page. So meta titles. Titles are one form of a meta tag. So to manage the meta tag information, you would go into your ESP website's admin, locate your site, and click on the SEO button. Then you can update the title, the description, and the keywords. So the title is what's going to be shown to people when they see the Google search results page. So it's that blue line, how to create page titles for Google, is what people will see. So you want to describe your page like a buyer would. The title tags are used in 3 key places. So search results, web browsers, and social networks. So even if your site ranks well, a good title could be the make or break factor in determining whether or not someone clicks on your link. For meta tags, a meta description is the brief snippet you see underneath a site's title in the Google organic search results. So it's this gray area here, the go green with custom reusable straws. In this particular search, I searched for logo on reusable straws, and this was one of the results that I received. So this is something that you would want to summarize your page within 160 characters. So if you're used to using Twitter and putting tweets out with 140 characters or less, you can probably write a meta description with 160 characters. So what can you tell me about your page in 1 tweet or 1 meta description? Again, try to answer the questions that a buyer would have about this page. You want to keep it conversational, you want to convey value, and you don't want to use the same description on several pages, or Google's algorithm will not favor those search results. So stick to your brand voice and tone, but also keep it conversational. Include your primary keyword if you can do so naturally. And again, convey value. Include a call to action like learn more here, and write it in an active voice. You also don't want to trick users into clicking on your link. So you want to make sure that your descriptions match your content. Okay, so Google Analytics, what is it? I'm sure that we've all heard of it, but why do we need it? So Google Analytics is a free tool that you can use to analyze the data for all of your website business in one place. It helps you understand how people find and use your website, and that will help you take action to improve their experience and keep them on your site longer, and hopefully convert them to checkout. So why should you use it? without turning this into an ad for Google, if you're not using analytics to see what is or isn't resonating with your customers, how can you change things to deliver better experiences and get better results? So in other words, if you don't know what's happening, how can you make it better? Okay, so Google Analytics, again, it's free and it's simple to add to your Google account to your website. So if you have an ESP website, you can go into the instructions in the ASI knowledge base and you'll see all of the instructions there. And you can also check out the stats for the last 30 days on your ESP website. You can see visitors and products viewed and also searches. If you don't have an ESP website, most website options have probably an area where you can add Google Analytics very easily to your site. A simple Google search would probably tell you exactly how to do that. All right, Google Tag Manager. So Google Tag Manager enables you to control the tags on your site without having to deal with coding. So tags are comprised of snippets of JavaScript code, which by the way, I know nothing about, and tracking pixels. And those are all just HTML codes. So as a marketer, we don't necessarily need to know the JavaScript or the HTML codes. We just need to know that we want them inside of Google Tag Manager and on our site. All right. So again, Google Tag Manager is free to deploy and track marketing data by easily adding code snippets to your website. It works integrated with Google Analytics, and it's designed to work with analytics. So the three key benefits here are that Google Tag Manager eliminates the hassle of hard coding tags. So a few clicks instead of changing codes. Prior to Google Tag Manager, you would need a developer or a designer to go in to add code every time you wanted to change something on your website. The other benefit is that it can boost your website speed. So a slow loading tag wouldn't prevent other tags from being fired. And the other key benefit is that it centralizes tag management. So all of your marketing and analytics tags are in one place. It simplifies the adding, editing, and removing of tags, reducing the chances of errors. So for example, ASI, we use multiple tags for marketing purposes. We have Google Ads, we have Facebook, and we have Hotjar. So instead of loading all of them onto our website or our microsites, we use Google Tag Manager to keep them all in one place and keep them manageable. Okay, let's talk a little bit about using product and content pages to make our websites unique and then further increasing our search engine optimization. So Google rewards unique content. In this case, we're talking about case studies, project recaps, or testimonials, things that other companies that are similar to you are not going to have on their website. So I would recommend that you can add new pages to your website, such as special services, about the team, company stores. If you're a distributor, you can add a page about why someone should be using a company store. And then you would use links to link back to that content to drive traffic to your website. So you could put a link in social media, or you could put a link in your e-newsletter. Different ideas. Another idea that's not on the slide is a presentation. So if you use ESP, you can go into ESP and create a presentation and then publish it to your website, something with seasonal product ideas or PPE and health and safety equipment or construction or finance. Think about the various industries that you serve and what products you recommend on a regular basis to those industries and create presentations out of them. Okay, so we started talking about unique content pages. Now, the next thing that we want to talk about for SEO is how can you make yourself or your business, which is also your brand, stand out? So I have a little exercise here. I want everybody to grab a pen and paper if you haven't already been taking notes, and we're just going to take 5 minutes to do a quick exercise. So I mentioned content pages a few slides back. I want you to think about these questions that I'm posing on the next 5 slides and jot down some quick answers. And then at the end of this, you'll have everything you need to go and create 5 new content pages and put what you've learned here into action. So the first question, where is your business located and what do you like most about your city or town? So if I were going to answer this and I was speaking about my hometown, I would talk about the thing that I love most about my hometown is that there is a diverse options for activities for everyone. There are many different industries and there are many different types of people in my hometown. I also love some of the Christmas in our hometown events. We have a Founders Day event. So I would mention different events that my town holds that people might be searching for, and then they might find my page. But think about, what do you like most about your city and town and why? Okay. Good for that one. The second question is, what question did you have about your industry or your business before you started? So what is the one thing you wish you knew from a customer's perspective? So something here, a good example here might be if you get a lot of questions about apparel, maybe you wanted to talk about what the difference in the various types of t-shirts and t-shirt quality, or why would someone want a lighter weight sweatshirt over a heavier weight sweatshirt? All of the various things about the promotional products industry that are kind of niche that someone might not think about, and also ways that you can help answer that question for the person before they reach out and contact you. This again positions you as an expert, also solidifies your brand and your voice, and it'll make people want to reach out to you because you've shown that you know what you're talking about. All right, question number 3. What makes your service different from others, and what are the reasons for the differences? So there are many other promotional products distributors. Maybe there are other promotional products distributors in your town. What makes you different? Is it the service that you provide? Is it that you're willing to hand deliver or provide samples? Do you offer certain discounts? Do you work only with specific industries and so you're an expert in that industry? Think about what makes you different than other people. All right, question number 4. Describe an experience working for your dream customer. What was the experience and what made it awesome? So the reason for this question, as you're thinking about an answer, is that we want to attract our dream customer. We want to attract more people like our dream customer. And writing up this experience of working with your dream customer is going to give a prospect or a potential buyer an idea of what it would be like to work with you, therefore attracting similar people. Okay, last question. Choose 3 adjectives to describe your business. Maybe it's fun, professional, service-oriented, and then write a sentence for each adjective explaining why you chose that word. Okay, moving on. So I believe that this recording will be available also, and you can also reach out to me at the end if you didn't get those questions, and I'd be more than happy to send them to you. So social media, let's talk a little bit about increasing brand recognition and engaging customers through social media. Let's do a quick time check here. Okay, so brand recognition. The more that people know about you or your brand, the more product or service that you'll sell. Do you know that an Instagram post with a face gets 38% more likes? So if you're a smaller one-person operation, I would suggest that you would use your picture instead of your logo as your profile picture. Again, people connect with people. We are all, I think, hesitant to share pictures of ourselves because maybe our hair doesn't look good enough, or we're not wearing the right shirt today. But you know what? The truth is that people really just want to see you. Okay. So for social media, whether we like it or not, the digital experience is now the human experience, and consumers still really crave human-to-human connection. So how can we take that human-to-human connection onto social media? How can we create a more personalized experience online? With virtual events like we're doing today, authentic content, especially video, and empathy, especially now during the time of a global pandemic, you can show authentic content and empathy through longer form captions. What I mean by longer form captions are, instead of just a 3-word kind of caption to your photo, you want to tell a little bit of a story. So using categories, you can create consistency and let your followers know what to expect, and then they will keep coming back for more. If you use 7 categories, you'll have 1 category for each day of the week, and you'll never have to rack your brain about what to post again. I think this is genius because every day of the week, every Monday, you know you're going to post a behind the scenes tutorial. Every Wednesday, you're going to talk about why you do what you do. So um, all of the categories are listed here. Of course, you can swap something out and make up your own, but for benefits, an example is I would talk about what are the benefits of working with you versus choosing another distributor or vendor. Number 6, personal insight. Give your followers a little bit more of an idea of who you are as a person. Connecting with people, again, it's all about connection, and we want to really connect with people and let them know more about us. So all of these categories will give you a reason to talk about your business in a way that isn't overly salesy, and it doesn't make you feel like, or it doesn't make your followers feel like you're always pitching something to them. Okay, speaking of connection, people don't want to be sold to. They want to connect with you. Brene Brown is a researcher, and she says we are wired for connection. I definitely agree with that. So we can't beat the algorithm, so I would suggest using it to your advantage. When it comes to Facebook and Instagram, people or accounts that you interact with most are the people you're going to see in your feed, and vice versa. So start interacting with your ideal customer. Find out who your ideal customer is. Is it someone in a specific age demographic? Is it someone in a specific job title? Is it someone in a specific industry? And try to find them and interact with them. And I'm not suggesting in a creepy or a spammy way, but by creating and starting real life conversations. I challenge you this: try to find 5 new people each day. People who are your friends on Facebook, they've liked your business page, they follow you on Instagram. Go to their page, look at one of the last photos that they've done, that they posted, and comment on it in a meaningful way. Another thing is, we're coming up on the holidays, right? We're in the fourth quarter. So maybe you could start a conversation with someone about gift recommendations for a hard to buy for person. For example, my husband, every year I go on social media and I say, all right, my husband loves bourbon, but I don't know anything about it. So can someone recommend a new bourbon that I could get for him this year? And it's a great way to start conversations. Okay, so planning for engagement. So we have to ask questions and seek engagement. If you are going to be able to respond to comments, and honestly, we're hoping for comments on our posts, and we're writing our posts in a way that is planning for comments and soliciting comments, then plan to make your post or schedule them at a time when you know you'll be able to commit 20 minutes to respond to those questions or comments. Another tip is direct messages. So are you engaging with people through direct messaging? If you're not, why aren't you? So remember how I said earlier that the people you interact with the most are the people who will see your posts? Okay, so direct messages are one more method of interacting with people. So try this. When you get a new follower or a like on your page, go to your direct messages and send that person a message. So for example, if someone liked a post that they found through a hashtag that I used on one of my posts, I would write them back and say, hey, so glad you're here. This account is all about digital marketing, sprinkled with a few pictures of my kids and my travels. Is there anything specific that I can help you with? And that way I leave the question open to them. And I'm also showing them that I care that they're here, and I'm giving them a little peek about what they're going to see coming up in my content if they continue to follow me. Okay, so that was social media. Let's get into email campaigns. So we've got 5 email marketing do's and 3 don'ts. And before we get into those specific do's and don'ts, I just want to say off the top, when you're planning your email campaign, so I think we all know this, but it's really good to reiterate that every campaign should kick off with you being aware of your target audience and also aware of what the purpose of your email is. So what is your goal? So let's talk about some tactics that you should be employing to grow your email list. So number 1 is grow your list. I would suggest that you could do this with an opt-in form on your website, which is maybe a button or a pop-up. You could include a link in the bottom of your email signature and your social media bios. And a way that you could get people to opt in is with a freebie or a coupon in exchange for their email address. So maybe you wanted to make up a PDF in canva.com, which I'll cover in a minute, but you could talk about how to pick the perfect t-shirt or top trends for promo products. Or maybe you even want to give 10% off of someone's first order over X amount of dollars. This will be how you'll build your email list of people who are actually people who are raising their hands and saying that they want to hear from you. So create consistent content for your target market. Are you focused on education and sports teams? Are you focused on local small businesses in your city, election campaigns perhaps? Your goal should be to educate your ideal client and get them to have that moment, that aha moment when they're thinking of you when their marketing needs arise. All right, so sorry about that. Okay, number 3 is keep it succinct. So now more than ever, especially now, we are all really busy. We are home. We never, if you're working from home like I am, you really never leave work. So we want to keep our messages succinct. Your customers are busy. They won't read your email if it's too long, and don't try to cram too much content into one email. So we have a lot of things vying for our attention, so that it's critical that we be intentional with our communication. I would suggest for number 4 that you try different email types and you experiment with different calls to action. So maybe you want to switch it up and do a weekly newsletter or a monthly roundup of products, maybe a holiday or a sales promotion. Again, new content pages that we talked about. So maybe email a summary to people. If you have a blog, you could write your blog post on your website and then email out a summary to people. I have signed up for a marketing blog that I've subscribed to for a few years now, and every time they post a new post, it gets emailed to me in my inbox, and then I can go directly to their website. It's just really nice because you get notified when there's new content, and it's serving them double purpose because they're sending emails to me, reminding me, and then I'm going and I'm a view on their website. So you could also link to your landing page or custom content pages inside of your email. And the last thing there is don't forget to offer value, because people want to keep coming back to read your emails. And when you offer value, they will keep coming back. Definitely number 5, check the stats. So what good, again, this kind of goes back to the Google Analytics. What good is sending all these emails if we're not checking to see what is or isn't working? So I recommend A/B testing if your email sending platform provides for it. So a lot of different platforms like Constant Contact or MailChimp or maybe HubSpot, even ESP email marketing. You can test one subject line versus another, or you could test different sending times. Do your customers respond more in the mornings or afternoons or maybe on the weekend? All right, so 3 email marketing don'ts. Number 1, don't use one large image. I am not going to name names, but I receive sales emails from a brand that I know and love, and all of their emails are one large image. And it actually frustrates me because I have my images in my Gmail turned off, and every time I get one of their emails, I can't see what their message is because it looks like spam and I can't see the actual picture with the words. So again, if someone doesn't have images turned on, they won't see your message. And sometimes the one large image can look like spam to email service providers. So they'll send your email to junk before it even lands in that person's inbox. Okay, tip number 2, or don't number 2, is don't break spam and opt-out laws. Now this seems fairly self-explanatory, and we probably have all heard about spam and opt-out laws and canned spam, but there are a lot of compliance guidelines that are available for businesses, and I would strongly suggest that you do your research and make sure that you are following all of those guidelines and aren't breaking any spam or opt-out laws. If you're emailing prospects in Canada, you need to be very clear on what the Canadian laws are for Castle as well. And finally, don't forget about mobile. So we are almost all of us have a cell phone. If we don't have a cell phone, I'm not quite sure what we're doing, but we probably all have a cell phone, and we are all checking email on our cell phone. So 47% of people use a mobile app to check their email. That is more than enough reason to be optimizing for mobile when you're doing your emails. Right, and finally, fitting it all in. So how in the world are we going to update our website, do all the social media that we're supposed to be doing, send the email marketing campaigns, and get it all done in the 40 hours? Let's be honest, how many of us are really working 40 hours a week? It's probably more like 60 or 80, right? So here are a couple tips for fitting all of this into your week. So plan out your marketing calendar, break it down and plan it out. When we were in the office, I had a whiteboard calendar or a dry erase calendar that I could write out all of our campaigns, when we were going to be doing what quarter, when we were going to specific trade shows and the dates, what the due dates were. So I had an at-a-glance view of everything, you know, from a month or a quarter perspective, even down to a week if I wanted that. And you can plan it out that way. Now that we're working remotely, I am strictly using Outlook and Google Calendar, but you know, it's definitely nice to have a way to keep track of all of that. So ASI, we have created a 2021 marketing calendar. So you could go to this site, go.asicentral.com/holiday guide, and download that marketing calendar. That'll give you a really great start on when holidays are, when there are social media holidays, and you can plan out your sales and your marketing based around specific holidays or seasons when you know your customers will need promotional products. And then based on your marketing campaign topics, you would create the content that you need. So content creation, taking all the information and the topics that we discussed when we talked about content pages for your website and the social media categories section, you should have plenty of things to talk about. So you take all that content that you've gathered together, and then you can repurpose that content. So let's say, for example, I took a video of my family and I kayaking on the river. And this is just my little Lynn and Liza made up promotional products company that I did here on this slide. But I made a video and then I wanted to go ahead and create a blog post out of that video. So I've made the top 5 promo products for outdoor adventurers. I wrote up a little post here, showed a picture, and then I'm going to take some content from that blog post and that video and make it into a social media graphic, which you see on the right-hand side. That's something that I can then go and post on Facebook. And then in the center on the cell phone, you see the Instagram slide that I've made for Instagram stories. So you can take little pieces from each content and kind of repurpose it, and you'll be working smarter and not harder. Then you definitely want to share it until you're sick of it, because chances are somebody else isn't hopping from platform to platform to platform, and they're not going to see every single time that you shared that same picture or that same piece of content. Definitely space it out though, because there are some people like myself who will go from Facebook to Instagram and back and forth, and you end up seeing the same thing over and over again. The one resource that I wanted to mention for this slide is canva.com. I mentioned it earlier, but I made all of these graphics in Canva, CANVA.com. And you can get templates on there. If you don't have a graphic designer, you can very easily whip up a blog post or an Instagram story or a Facebook graphic or a flyer, all different kinds of things, and it makes it really simple, and also it's free, so you can't beat that. And then unsplash.com is really great for stock photos. They're all submitted by professional photographers. Again, that's unsplash.com. And you can download all the free pictures that you want there. All right, so finally, thanks so much to our social media and marketing track sponsors, AIM. And with that, I can take some questions. I think we still have a few minutes left in the session, so feel free to send your questions in and Ellie will help us out here.
Thank you, Abby. That was great. If you have any questions for Abby, please use the Q&A function at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and we can get started with Q&A. I do see one in the chat function from Richard. I'm not, have you answered that one?
No, I haven't. I
No?
did not
Okay.
see it. Nope.
I can read it for you. So Richard wants to know, how long after changing meta info should you start seeing results?
I don't know the exact hours or days, but I would imagine it can take up to a week. And it depends also on what you're changing. So if you're changing the tag or the description or the title, I would imagine that it can take Google, a while to kind of crawl your website again.
And then we have another question from Sierra. She says, can you talk more about how you plan digitally across all platforms?
Sure. I think that this probably means digitally across email marketing and social media, if I had to guess. So, um, planning out a campaign and figuring out, when your product is going to launch or when you want to run a specific promotion. A lot of times I like to work backwards. And so if I know that I want to launch a campaign on a specific day, I know that I need to have everything in place. I would do an image on Facebook, and then I would do If I have an Instagram account for my company, I would do an image on Instagram. And then over a series of 3 or 4 days, I would also promote that same campaign on the Instagram stories. I don't know if it's just my demographic or that's just my personal preference, but Instagram stories is where I spend most of my time on social media. I know a lot of the ads get me there. So I would suggest planning it out over a series of 3 to 4 days, then incorporating email marketing also. So maybe you send an email week 1 of your campaign launch and you do some social media activities, and then either at the end of that week or maybe you wait a week and then you send out a follow-up email with like a last minute offer.
Tracy would like to know, how far in advance do you plan your marketing calendar? 1 month before, 1 week before, etc.
Okay. Well, I can tell you for ASI, we plan our marketing calendar out for the month. And overall, we know exactly, I would say quarterly, we know what our big campaigns are going to be. But as far as actual email sends and what days and times, we plan those out for the month at a time so that we have time to get the creative done and get our segments pulled and everything like that.
And we have a similar question from Allison. How far in advance do you plan out your campaigns? Like your campaigns for 2021? Do Q1 campaigns, do you have those laid out in September of 2020?
I would say for this industry, yes, you probably want to have your Q1 campaigns laid out because people who are going to make buying decisions in Q1 are probably going to start being influenced by ads and offers, November, December. Also, if they're planning their budget for Q1 right now, they want to be budgeting for Q1. So you kind of want to get top of mind with them to start thinking about what they want to buy if you're in their budget. And then as the year progresses, same thing. So you want to be thinking about the people who are going to be buying in the following quarter and starting to target them in the 3 months prior. So yes, I would say plan out your marketing about a quarter in advance if you can.
We have a bunch of questions rolling in. This is
Oh
great.
boy, I'm in the hot seat.
So, you covered email marketing metrics, but what metrics should you use to measure social media success or engagement? Followers, likes, etc.
I personally think this is a great question. I personally think that followers and likes and comments are a vanity metric. So I would base social media success on how many customers are you getting? Are people coming to you and saying, I found you on social media and I want to learn more about this? If you're spending any money on social media advertising, you can spend as little as maybe $50 a month and possibly get, you would boost a post on, let's say, Facebook. Maybe you get a $500 order. So right away, that ad paid for itself. And I would definitely consider that a success.
And is it more important to use Instagram and business Facebook to get more results?
Is it more important to use Instagram and business Facebook?
Mhm.
I think that means should you use a business page? Would you guess, Ellie? You think?
Yes, that's what I
Okay.
think, like Instagram business page.
Okay. So each has an advantage. You have an advantage and a disadvantage. So if you want to run ads, I believe the way it is right now is you have to have a business account set up on Facebook and Instagram. So if you want to run ads, even if you wanted to do a $5 ad, I believe you have to have a business account set up. Um, if you are using your personal account and you have a business name in there, I would say you need to convert that to a business page because Facebook is probably going to penalize your content if you're trying to promote products and services as a person on Facebook, even though you're doing it as your business.
And can you please repeat the two sources for graphics that you mentioned at the end of your presentation?
Sure. They are Canva, Canv, and that's V as in Victor, A.com. So canva.com. And the other one was Unsplash, which is stock photos. So UN splash, SPLASH.com.
And can you please elaborate on how to create and use content pages? What is their purpose? You went through that part quite quickly.
Okay, sorry about that. So content pages are another way for you to add a unique page to your website to make your business show up higher in Google search results. So, for example, if I was making a website for my fictitious Lynn and Liza distributor company, I would probably create a page about the team. So I would talk about myself and whoever my business partners are. And we could talk about, what some of our hobbies are, little bit to humanize us there. Then if we had a specific niche that we targeted, like let's say, for example, we targeted youth sports teams and we wanted to work closely with those types of groups, we would create a page all about what makes youth sports great and how to choose the most cost effective uniforms for those sports teams. So basically, any type of individual page on your website that creates additional value for someone besides just a page of promotional product search results. Hopefully that makes sense. But if you have further questions or want me to elaborate on that more, you can always send me an email at my email address there. It's acos@asicentral.com.
And do you recommend an app to organize these monthly campaigns?
There are a lot of different apps that you can use. I have seen people use Trello. I've seen people use Google Slides, or I'm sorry, Google Sheets or Google Docs. For me and my team personally, we use Google Sheets. So we just keep everything in a Google Calendar. And that way we all have access to it at the same time. We can see real-time edits and we can lay it out and color code it in a way that makes sense to us.
And do you ever run into being blacklisted from people's inbox when doing email campaigns?
Um, ASI in particular, I can't really speak to that. I know it does happen in the email marketing world. If that is something that's happened to you, I would definitely recommend taking a look at what the content is that you're sending out and where you got those email addresses from.
So I think we only have time for one or two more questions.
Okay.
Um, Someone asked if a copy of the presentation will be available. We are recording this session and it will be posted to our Virtual Education Day landing page. So look out for an email in your inbox for a link to that landing page.
Okay.
And then Sydney has asked, would you use the same social media techniques for LinkedIn? How would you use that platform?
Yes, I would do the same thing on LinkedIn, and I apologize that I didn't mention LinkedIn. You can tell that my true loves are Instagram and Facebook because that's what I just like to talk about. But you can use the same concepts on LinkedIn as we talked about here. I would say, you want to be able to incorporate that personal aspect into your business posts on LinkedIn. Again, same thing. People want to buy from people. We don't want to buy from a robot or from someone who it feels like they're spamming us with their products all day long. If I were a distributor today, I would not be going on social media saying, here are all the pens that I have, buy a pen today. I would try to put a lot more thought into it and talk about, for example, what is my favorite pen and why is that my favorite pen? I might even tell a story about a campaign that I did with a pen one time. which by the way was a funny story. But yeah, infuse your personality into it. And I think you can definitely use those same concepts on LinkedIn.
So, last question from Hillary. Can you please explain the difference between posts and stories?
Sure. Um, if I knew my phone would show up on the camera, I would show you. But the easiest way to explain it is that a post, if you're on Facebook and you're looking on the desktop version or even on your phone, the posts are the things that are scrolling up and down. Like when you scroll through your feed, it's going to be, a post is there. It will live there for as long as you let it stay there. Whereas a story is what shows up in those little bubbles up at the top of the app, or it almost looks like a rectangle up at the top of your desktop screen. And they only live there for 24 hours. So those are short bursts of information that you don't intend to live there for forever. And maybe that's where you get a little bit more personalized in your marketing. So you can have a little bit more fun up there. Whereas in your posts, those are a little bit more polished or buttoned up, you might say.
Well, thank you so much, Abby, for joining us today. And
Thank you, Ellie.
and thanks again to AIM for sponsoring this track.
Great.
For everyone who attended this session, the next class in this track begins in 10 minutes at 2 p.m. So if you would like to attend the next class in this track and you haven't already registered for it, please check the chat function. I just put the registration link for you to register. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ellie.